Hey guys, hello everybody. Welcome back to Art of Creation Homestead. My name is Jason. We're in the kitchen this morning, and one thing Angela and I love to do is we love to make. Well, I love to eat. She loves to make just a nice kind of different Saturday morning breakfast. Just something that's like a baked good or something of that nature that we can sit down together and eat. Enjoy a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, whatever it is she's drinking. And this one thing that she does is a maple blueberry coffee cake. And it's absolutely delicious. She's got a wonderful recipe for you here, so I'm gonna turn it over to her and let her take care of it, okay?
Now this has a streusel top, so we're gonna start by making the streusel top, because if you'll remember what I've told you, you always wanna make your streusel top first. So in this bowl we have 1/3 cup of flour, 1/2 cup of packed light brown sugar, and a pinch of salt. You just wanna mix all that together. When I originally made this recipe up, when I originally formulated it, I used maple sugar instead of brown sugar. It is wonderful that way. I don't have maple sugar right now, but if you have maple sugar, go ahead and use maple sugar instead of the brown sugar. But either way works wonderful. Now to this we are going to add 1/4 cup, which is 1/2 of a stick of unsalted butter that I've melted and cooled, and you can see it's starting to solidify a little again. You always want to cool it, because otherwise it's going to melt your sugar and it's not going to do what you want it to do. So you want to mix that together, and as you can see it's going to start forming clumps. That's what you want it to do. And then remember, as I've taught you before, as you let that sit while you're mixing everything else, that butter is going to start to re-solidify. And because of that, you're going to be able to break it into nice little chunks, and it's going to make a really good streusel. So now we're going to set that to the side, and we're going to start on our cake. In this bowl, we have 1/4 cup, which is 1/2 stick of unsalted butter, and see, it's just softened. If you didn't have time to lay it out, you can soften it in the microwave for about 15 seconds. To that, we are going to add 1/2 cup of pure maple syrup. Please, please do not use pancake syrup. Pancake syrup is not the same thing. Do not use pancake syrup. Use only real maple syrup. If you don't have real maple syrup and you want to make this, I would suggest using probably 2/3 to 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar instead, but then you won't have the maple flavor. But you always want to add a little more sugar than you would maple syrup, because maple syrup is sweeter than sugar. So you want to mix these two together, and see, you're gonna have butter chunks in there. That's what you want. It's gonna make for a much better coffee cake if you leave those chunks in there, because they're gonna melt as it bakes, and it's gonna make for a much better coffee cake. It's gonna make for a much lighter coffee cake. So now to this you want to add 1 egg, 1 large egg. This is a large Crazy Pants Sophia egg. Sophia is crazy, but we love her anyways. Now you want to mix that egg in, just until you see that it's nicely mixed in. Now to this we are going to add 1/2 cup of buttermilk. I am using whole buttermilk made from whole milk. If you do not have buttermilk, you can do this with regular milk. But the cake is going to be a little more moist if you do it with buttermilk. And what you see on top of it is 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. You want to mix that until everything is all mixed together. I love the smell of that maple syrup in there. So over here, now you don't have to pre-measure it. You can just dump it straight in. I pre-measured it for video purposes. I have 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, and 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. Now we're just going to dump this in to our mixture. Now to this, while your flour is still on top, you want to add 2 cups of frozen blueberries. You want to make sure that they are still frozen, fresh from the freezer, because if you let them thaw any, they will leach too much. And you'll probably end up with a blue coffee cake anyways, but it'll be more blue if you, it'll be way more blue if you let them thaw any. And it'll also add too much liquid to your coffee cake. But you want to do that on top of the flour because you want to be able to toss your blueberries over the side of the bowl, apparently. You want to be able to toss your blueberries in the flour. That will keep them from sinking to the bottom of your coffee cake. And you probably saw that I put in, it looked like I put in 4 cups of blueberries. I did not. That was a 1/2 cup measure. It was easier for me to scoop them that way and make sure I got a good measurement. Now, it's going to be a very thick batter. That's what you want. It's going to make for a more moist coffee cake. You want it to be very thick. And see, it's going to turn a little blue swirled anyways. But if you would have let those blueberries thaw, yeah, it would have been very blue, yep, and also too much liquid. This is my cooking vessel of choice. It is a cast iron skillet. It is, I think this is a 9-inch, or is it a 10-inch?
It's not 10.
I think it's a 9-inch cast iron skillet. If you don't want to use cast iron, if you don't use cast iron, you can use a 9-inch dish of any sort. But I have it lined with parchment paper. And I have my parchment paper greased. Because even though parchment paper is mostly non-stick, it will, the blueberries will have a tendency to stick to it. So now you want to spread it in your pan. And I forgot to tell you, you want to have your oven preheated to 375. You want to spread this out evenly to the sides of the pan. Make sure you don't have any big globs anywhere, although it will settle as it bakes. So you don't have to be too particular about it. You can see those butter chunks in there, which is going to make this coffee cake so moist. Now we are going to put on our streusel top.
You take that the cold butter, kind of like you do your biscuits, right? You want cold butter in your biscuits to get those butter.
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
And now we're going to break back up the chunks in our streusel. You don't want to break them up too much because those big chunks are gold on your coffee cake. Yep. So you don't want to break them up too much, but if the chunks are too large, then you want to break them up. Now you want to sprinkle on your streusel top. It's a lot of streusel. Coffee cake's better with more streusel. Typically, the more streusel you have on a coffee cake, the better it is. Now you want to spread that around. Now you want to put this into your 375-degree preheated oven until a toothpick inserted in the center. Now you may hit a blueberry, so you'll probably have blueberry juice on it. But if you hit the cake part, that it comes out with moist crumbs. You don't want it dry, because if it's dry, it's going to be overbaked by the time it carryover cooks. I'll show you what it looks like when we're there. Our coffee cake is in the oven, and it has about 5 minutes or so left on the bake. So now we're going to make a glaze. This glaze is going to be key with it. It's going to make it so much better. We have 3/4 of a cup of powdered sugar, and to that we are going to add, in this cup we have 1 tablespoon of pure maple syrup, again not pancake syrup, 2 tablespoons of milk, and a half teaspoon of vanilla extract. Now you want to keep more milk on standby, because if it's not thin enough, you may want to add some more milk. So you want to always keep more milk on standby when you're making a glaze. And you want to stir that together. Make sure you don't have any lumps from the powdered sugar in there. And they will melt down pretty quick. If you do have some lumps, they will melt down pretty quick in the liquid. This looks like it may be perfect just at that. It looks like I may not need any more milk. Now, as it sits, it may tighten up and I may need to add some later. But right now, it's looking perfect. Because you want it to be a thin glaze. And I'll show you why when the cake comes out. And see, all the lumps have melted out. And now you just want to set this to the side and wait for your cake to get done. Okay, our beautiful coffee cake is out of the oven now. It baked between 40 and 45 minutes until, like I said, until you inserted a toothpick in the center and it come out with just moist crumbs.
Baked for 41 minutes.
Ours baked for 41 minutes, but that depends on your oven and what vessel you choose to cook it in. If you are using a cast iron skillet, leave one of your pot holders over the handle.
Yes.
To remind yourself that it's hot.
That's a very good tip.
You need to remind yourself that it's hot, because otherwise you're going to touch the handle and you're going to regret it.
Yep.
Because cast iron holds its heat for a long time.
Yeah.
Now we're going to take that same toothpick that we tested it with and we're going to poke holes all in it. This is still hot from the oven. You're going to poke holes all in it. I know. You think I've lost my mind.
No, everybody understands what you're doing.
This is to get your glaze to run down in it, to keep your coffee cake nice and moist and give it a good flavor down in.
Now, if you lost your mind, if you were sitting there making noises like there was something jumping in and out of the cake.
That's true.
Okay, then you might think you lost your mind.
Now we are going to spoon our glaze over it and let it run down into those holes. And it will impart even more maple flavor into your cake because the maple syrup in the glaze. And it won't take long to get it all put on there. And you're already starting to see it seep down in it. This is part of the reason you want to do it while it's hot. You don't want to wait till your cake is cooled to do this because it won't soak it up as well.
Nope.
And your glaze will mostly just stay on top and it won't be as good. So now you just want to let this sit until it cools off enough that you won't burn your pie hole, because it is really best served warm.
Yep. Look at that beautiful wedge of cake. Great with a cup of coffee. Nice. Look at that. Blueberries. Hey, fruit makes it healthy, right? Outstanding. And absolutely delicious. I still taste them. A piece of coffee cake. Wow. Wonderful. It's got fruit. It's got flavor. And it's good with coffee. So it's a wonderful, wonderful breakfast coffee cake. And you guys, it's amazing. Angela K killed it. What a wonderful recipe. You gotta try this one. So thank you guys so much for watching. We do appreciate it. My name is Jason. That smart one over there, her name is Angela K. This is Art of Creation Homestead. We love y'all. God bless you and goodbye.